Hi, GWS 1200 students. This short video will talk about the research project, which isn't due for quite some time, but because it's worth 150 points, I want you to start thinking about it and working on it now. The main problem that I see with research assignments from students is that they don't put enough time and effort into the project. So the project is worth 150 points, which is 3 times a position paper. This means it should be 3 times the substance and depth and your time and energy. So just keep that in mind. That said, the reason there's no specific word count on each part of the project is because I want you to have the freedom to be creative. So let's say that you decide to do personal interviews for your project, or a documentary film, or something really creative. I didn't want to put like a word count requirement on every little aspect, because I want you to have the freedom to do something that's interesting to you. But here's the key to the research project, getting a good grade, is to work toward the grading rubric. So the grading rubric is on page 15 and 16 of the syllabus, but basically your project should have these components: a definition or explanation of the topic, why the topic is so important. So you're going to describe the topic. Let's say your topic is the migration of women and men out of Syria into Europe. So you're going to first outline, by migration, how many people are we talking? Where are they going from? Where are they going to? You're going to tell me what the issue is. Then the importance. You're going to talk about the number of displaced children not going to school, the antagonisms and hostilities that are developing internationally and interculturally, the financial burden of feeding, housing, and clothing, and acclimating all these people into the Western European nations. So you're going to tell me why it's so important, the significance. Then, and this is different, this is important, the next is informational sources on the issue. So good informational sources might be the United Nations, it might be the Council of Foreign Affairs. You're going to give me some places I can go if I just wanted to get information, data, facts on the migration problem. The next section is sources of change. Not just informational sources or data, but people actively working to improve the situation. So here you would look at all the nonprofit groups that are working, helping the Syrian refugees. You might, again, go back to the United Nations if they have some kind of activist organization, Amnesty International, any human rights organizations who are working with the emigres to help solve that problem, so sources of change. The vision statement, if you write it, is the only thing that has to have at least 400 words. So your vision statement is how you hope to see this resolve. And the problem with vision statements is that students have this glowing, we should all be equal, and everyone should have gender equity, pay equity, etc., without a realistic assessment. How do we get there? So your vision statement for the migration crisis should be realistic. Like, the best possible scenario might be all the European nations equally dividing the people and saying, we're going to take this burden together. How would we get there? What would that look like? What concrete things would need to change for that to happen? So, and that's where the paper ends. So the project has to have all those distinct, hopefully labeled components. And the biggest problem I see is that people don't put enough time and energy into the project and have enough substance. So you have to define the problem, tell me why it's so important, give me sources of information, sources of change, and your vision for the future. I hope that helps, and I hope that you enjoy doing the research and learning about something new.